Now that the body is in the position that I need it to be, the first step to starting the sculpture is wrapping it one time with the plaster cloth. So what you're going to need is a piece of newspaper. I know this isn't newspaper, but it is so you can see well on the video. But get a piece of newspaper, lay that down, and then you'll also need a cup of water. And you can find these over by where the wire is. Just grab a cup that you can keep in your cubby. And I just want to say this because you guys never worked with plaster last year. Plaster and clay do not mix. You do not want to get plaster in clay or in glazes. It is very important. It can mess up a project. It has to do with kiln firing. Okay, so once it's fired, it's not as big of a deal, but you wouldn't want to get it in glaze also. Okay, so with these cups, there will be lids with them, and it is vitally important that you clean up your whole area and do not get any plaster on the backer board that is on your table. Okay, so we have our cup of water, we have our plaster. It is very easy to work with. So I'm gonna move this over here. The first wrapping though is a little bit annoying because the plaster wants to slide all around. Once you have your first layer on there, it's gonna be a lot easier to work with. Okay, so I'm going from here to here and then directly onto my wire sculpture. Realize, so you can see I'm just kind of like pulling it around. What happens that's annoying about it is that it slides around. Okay, so try to make it a tight wrapping. So just keep like overlapping onto itself. You can kind of squeeze out some of the water if you have added too much. Do not wire wrap this small leg or this small peg that comes down, because this will go into a wooden board and stabilize the wire sculpture. So keep that free. So you will also realize that as I'm doing this, I'm not going back over my plaster strips that are dry. Once these get wet, there's no returning back to a dry state. It will dry, but it doesn't have the same qualities. It'll get hard and you won't be able to sculpt with it. So you can also see the wire, or the next wrapping that I did, I want to overlap the piece before it. I don't want to leave any like little space, and this is really important. If you do leave some space there, what will happen is you'll have basically kind of like your own bones. It'll be like a crack right there that you keep continuously getting as your sculpture is being built up. So it doesn't have to be a major overlay, but I would say maybe lay it over about 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so you're going to do this all the way around, just one time. And when you get to the double wire, you're going to be wrapping the wire together. Okay, it's not like you're separating them or anything like that. When you get to the head, you're going to be doing one that just goes all the way around. You don't have to wrap the individual wire there. So something that kind of looks like, that kind of looks like this. Okay. Anytime your hands get really wet and you don't want to contaminate or get those wet, just kind of like pat your hands dry on the table. Another thing is plaster doesn't go down the sink. So what we're gonna do is, if you can, kind of wash your fingertips in here. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you have a little bit of residue on them, that's okay. The plaster settles at the bottom once it's sat for literally like no time at all, 30 seconds to a minute. But pour the top portion of the water out and then kind of scrape with your finger the plaster at the bottom, just kind of like scrape it out into the trash can, and then you can wash it, okay? If you have a cup still, hopefully you do, one of these, if you could put that, if you could use that for your water and keep your plaster in it, and obviously keep it separated from your clay cup, okay? So this is already starting to like harden up. It's definitely not completely dry, but by the time you come back tomorrow, your sculpture will feel hard, okay? All right, good luck, guys.